as okay. Okay, so let's start our journey from the very beginning and understand what this program is about. Good. Some few questions as you begin this session, few questions you need to ask yourself. And these are questions you need to answer within you, which will help you have a better perspective of what this program entails. Now, the questions are thus: why should customers buy the service that you are offering today as a company? Why should customers buy this particular service from you and not from someone else? How will the customer actually purchase this service from you today? How will they actually be tracked in terms of accounting processes and such through the life cycle of service delivery? Now, are services well defined and trackable right now within the organization called tennis? Is it measurable right now? Can you be able to quantify, you understand, what you guys are offering right now? What are your pricing or chargeback models? Do you have such? What are the service strengths and weaknesses that you have presently as an organization and within your various units? How should service management resources be allocated appropriately and accordingly? Now, these are questions you must be able to answer. If you are not able to answer these questions right now, then there's a problem with your infrastructure. Now, we're going to understand what we mean by infrastructure. Now, there are 5 parts that actually make up for service management. Because when we talk about service management, there's a lot beyond just delivering a service. There's more importantly, the importance of how you manage the delivery of that service itself. So there are 5 parts that make up for a proper service management. There's the service strategy, there's the service design, there's the service transition, there's the service operation, and there's also continual service improvement, which requires you to improve from the way you are delivering your service now to a better way to deliver your service. Now, not that you are not delivering service right now to the clients. Many of your different arms of your business are delivering services right now, but there is a better way to deliver the service based on an appropriate infrastructure, a proper framework that helps you to be able to deliver the service in a standard way. Now, each part actually provides the guidance necessary for an integrated approach. Each part of what? Each part of what we've just seen, each part of the service management infrastructure, from service design to service transition and even service operations. Many organizations stop at service operation. That is just a fraction or a fragment of your entire service management. But your service delivery goes beyond the operational part. There's also transition, there's design, there's strategy, and there's also the continual service improvement. Now, each part provides the guidance necessary for an integrated approach and also addresses the capabilities' direct impact on a service provider's performance. So the question is, how well are you able to deliver this service right now? There are a lot of organizations that are delivering the kind of service you deliver right now. But what enables you to be competitive, to be able to compete with the organizations out there, is how you are able to deliver your service much better than the way your competition is delivering it right now. Now, the structure of the framework is that of the service life cycle. So service management has a life cycle, just like a human being has a life cycle. For example, every human being has a life cycle from the point of adolescence, from the point of infancy rather, then to adolescence, then to the teenage age, and then to the young adult, and then the adult, and then finally to the elderly. Then that particular human being after the elderly stage dies. So there's a life cycle for every human being. So also in managing the way you deliver service right now in your various parts of your unit, your department, your organization as a whole, there's a life cycle that you must understand your organization must undergo or go through in delivering this service appropriately. Now, it also ensures organizations are able to leverage capabilities in one area for learning and improvement in others. Meaning you are able to understand certain areas where you are delivering service much better and how you're able to go about delivering it that enabled improvement. You are able to learn from that and know what works and what doesn't work. It's important that you are able to learn actually how you are getting the results you are getting at the moment so that you can replicate those results. If you are getting results and you are not able to learn how you achieved it, you are thinking it's a fluke, you are thinking it's maybe by coincidence, you are thinking maybe it was by luck, then you have missed it, because results must be duplicated. It means it must be duplicated across board. You must learn how to do so. Now, the framework, because in terms of this structure of managing the way you deliver your service, there is a framework. Now, the framework is used to provide structure. So if the way you deliver your service is not aligned with a standard framework, it means you don't have an accurate structure to build the organizational service delivery on. For example, every building, even the building you are in right now, has a structure. If not, you won't be in it, because it has a structure that puts every piece together. It puts the blocks together, it puts the window fittings, it puts the plumbing, it puts the tiling. So there's a structure that enables every part to fit in. So whatever you're doing, it must fit into a standard structure. So the question is, right now, the way you're delivering your service, what structure are you aligning with? What standard structure are you aligning with? Are you familiar with that? Are you aware of such a structure? Now, so the framework must actually be used. This framework we are talking about, which is the IT service management. Interestingly, what we have is the version 4 now, the 4, because we've had version 1, version 2, version 3, and this is the 4th one, which actually is the current one that aligns particularly with agile, with the flexibility. Many of us might have heard the word agile, and if there's something you need to learn now, you need to learn how to be agile, meaning how to be able to manage the delivery of your service in a very flexible way, because things are changing. So in terms of this structure, it must be stable, and in terms of the framework, it provides this stability and strength to service management capabilities with durable principles, methods, and tools. Now, this enables service providers also to protect investment and provide the necessary basis for measurement, learning, as well as improvement. So when it comes to the entire business, there's a need to understand the alignment of your business with your service management. The entire business from end to end must be aligned with the service management. Now, a common thing in any service management framework is to enable and also demonstrate the service management alignment as well as with the business. You understand? So there's no disconnect. If there's a disconnection between the service management and the business, because the business has a voice. So there's 3 aspects which are very key. There's the voice of the business, there's the voice of the customer, and then there's the voice also of your process. You must be able to ensure that there's an alignment. Now, organizations focus only on one section, which is the voice of the business, which is profit. Now, the business, yes, is about making profit, because you guys are not running an NGO, but there must also be the concentration to pay attention to the voice of your process. For example, you must also ensure that whatever profit you are aiming at actualizing, you must have the capacity. So you have, for example, increase in customer base, but you have not increased your capacity or capability to be able to attend to these more customers that have come in. So you find out that your business begins to suffer in the area of delivering its service in an appropriate way. Why? Because you are not paying attention to the voice of your process. There's also the voice also of your customers. It means you can be at the detriment of your customers. You are trying to make profit and at the expense of the satisfaction of your customers, you might lose at the end of the day your customers because you're trying to make a profit. So every aspect must be aligned. It means you must be listening to the voice of your customers for you to be able to improve in the way you deliver your service right now. You must be listening to the voice of your business because you cannot please your customers at the expense of losing money in terms of profit. So you can't be losing money and pleasing customers. So you must listen to the voice of the business as well. You must also be listening to the voice of the process. It means, do you have the capability right now, the increased capability to deliver the service you are delivering right now? So it's not just about, oh, we want to get more customers, but you must also be able to look at the infrastructure, which is the focus for this section, to focus on the infrastructure, which is the process you have to be able to actually deliver this particular service requested of you. Now, when staff members of an organization have only an internal focus on the product being delivered and supported, do you know what happens? They lose sight of the actual purpose and benefit that their efforts deliver to the business as well as the customer, because their focus is only on the product. You understand? That means, oh, the product must be perfect, the product must be good, the product must be lovely. Now, your organization can have a wonderful product, but in delivering that product, the process to deliver that product to the client might be terrible. You understand? Now, a lot of people do complain about the delivery. For example, many of us might have gone to BRT terminals owned by an organization, powered or managed by an organization called Primera. Many of us might have taken BRT, buses at one time or the other. You understand? So you notice this challenge. You might have so much people waiting at the BRT terminals. That means the bus stop, waiting for the BRT buses. Then sometimes you might have BRT buses lined up. You understand? And then you have people at the BRT terminal lined up. So the problem is not the availability of the buses. The buses might be so much. The problem is not the absence of commuters. You might have passengers lined up in the BRT terminal, but the problem is processing each individual into the bus so that the bus can leave. That is where the problem is. In the delivery of that service, you must look at every aspect in the delivery of that service, which is very important. So it's not just about the fact that we have buses. You don't focus only on the product which you have right now as an organization. You must focus on what does it entail in its entirety to deliver this service to the customer in a satisfactory way, whereby the customer achieves value. You understand? Whereby at the end of the day, the organization delivers value. It's very, very important. Now, when we look at every organization, an organization has these objectives. You understand? Because most organizational objectives are such that they are focusing on some strategic goals. You understand? So what is your organization's strategic goals? Many times organizations begin the year, you understand, with strategy sessions. I'm sure you guys began that. You started, strategy sessions. I'm sure you must have done that. And in the course of starting a strategy session, you understand, you must have also looked at, okay, what increase in profits, what percentage? So we want to actually increase profits, for example, by 35% this year. You understand? Or your strategy sessions could have, come out with statements like, oh, we intend to increase profit by 50% each this year going forward. You understand? Or 35% or 40%, depending on what was agreed upon in your strategy session. Then you also want to have a good image and reputation with a loyal customer base, because a number of times the problem has been with the brand. So you are protecting your brand image. You understand? And there might have been a brand promise that you have promised your client. So there's a brand promise that might have been promised to your client. For example, if you look at somebody leaves a Zenith Bank, for example, and goes into a First Bank. Now, Zenith Bank might have had a brand promise that their cycle time for transaction might be 15 minutes. And that's why they probably will take out all the chairs within the banking hall, because they don't expect you to wait. They are of the impression that they are not going to delay you. You are not going to wait for long. So they feel the cycle time is such that it will be so short that before you know it, you are in and out. You understand? So the cycle time might be quite short. So 15 minutes, for example. That person leaves Zenith Bank and goes to First Bank, for example, and ends up being in First Bank and spends an hour there and is complaining that, oh, why am I spending this long? But number one, you don't know what First Bank's brand promises. You don't know if they promised 1 hour. You don't know if they promised 30 minutes. You don't know if they promised 45 minutes. You understand? But because this person is coming from where a transaction had been achieved within a very short time, the person goes into another part of the industry expecting the same standard. So a number of times, regardless of what you have come up with in your objectives as an organization, the industry has set a standard for you. So it's not just no longer a function of, oh, our service level agreement is this. The industry sets it for you because you have competition. So the competitions you have out there, once they're able to achieve a certain level, they set that standard for every other player in that industry. Do you understand? So you don't have an excuse. So you must be able to look at what the industry standard tells you and be able to look at a way to beat that. That is the only way you can be able to deliver better than your competition right now. Now, so every business undergoes certain processes. Like I said, there's the need to listen to the business, the voice of the process. So every business has a process. So what business process aids in achieving those objectives? You understand? You are looking at the aspect of your sales, either retail or wholesale. And that's why it's important. In order to deliver service more effectively, you must be able to categorize, you understand, your customer base. So you don't deal with every customer the same way. It's very wrong for you to deal with every customer the same way. Now, because there are customers that you might deal with that their consumption level or their demand level is lower than some. And that's why you have retail customers, you have wholesale customers, you have corporate customers, you have individual customers. That is categorization. So it means in dealing with customers, you must be able to categorize them, because not all customers should be dealt the same way, irrespective of the fact that you have a certain kind of product. You must also understand that your products must be categorized. You understand? And we're going to understand what we mean by categorization and having what is called a service catalog, and we'll understand as we go on. So there's need to categorize, and that's why you must have your sales achieving the retail part, the wholesale part, the corporate part, and so on and so forth. There's also the marketing, there's the manufacturing part, there's the procurement, IT, security, HR, finance. These are all, part of your business process. So the business process aids in actually achieving this strategic objective, which you have begun from the beginning. So initially, what you must understand is that as you begin a business, there's the strategic objective, which is normally long term. So every strategy session is actually working towards reviewing the overall strategic objective of the business. So you initiate projects, and that's why for some of you here who have not done project management, it's an important thing for you to actually look at doing a training in project management, because whatever strategy a business has actually sat down to look at, and an objective to actualize, what we call a strategic objective, there must be a tactical way to actualize it. That tactical way to actualize it is via a project. That project is producing a unique product or service, whereby at the end of the day, once that project has produced a prototype or a unique product or service, which is the product management section of your entire business, it must be remanufactured or reproduced or redelivered to the client again and again and again and again and again. That's where operation comes in. So the order is strategy, tactical, and operations. Strategy, tactical, and operations. So you must sit down every year at the beginning of every year to look at what your strategy, you understand, is, and if you are closer to your strategic objective every year. So your strategy session is to review what you guys began and what your strategy is. Strategies can also be reviewed from time to time. So that must also be clear. Now, when it comes to services, you understand, because we must understand when we talk about a service, what does it mean? What services are these business processes that we've just looked at? What services do they depend on? Because every business has different services it's delivering. You understand? For example, you have the aspect of an online service. That's why you have a platform called a website. You understand? Whereby you're able to deliver a service. And we're going to understand delivering a service to customers, because there are two types of customers. There are internal and external customers, which we're going to see. So there's the delivery of this service, you understand? And the business process is dependent on these kinds of services, online services, for example, communication services. Do you know that the communication service part of your business, if it fails, it will affect every other part of your service delivery? So there's communication service. That's where you have emails, you have voice conferencing, you understand? For example, like something like this. You have, automatic procurement systems or buying of products or such, you understand? You have the point of sale services, you understand? These are, services that the earlier business processes we've looked at depends on. So you must be able to identify your business processes and understand the fact that your services, each of your services, the business process depends on them. So if your services has issues, you understand, that means your business process will also have issues. Now, every service must be managed, you understand? And it's not enough to say, oh, we have service that we deliver, you understand? We have different services. I know your organization as a whole, as a group, has different arms and services they are delivering. But these services must be managed. And when we talk about being managed, it must be managed professionally. You understand? What differentiates the way services are being handled, you understand, and the way they are being managed professionally? So people manage services, but the problem is that they are not managed professionally. Now, what differentiates the way you cook and the way a chef in Sheraton cooks is professionalism. Now, when you cook, you don't probably follow, you understand, a process. You follow your gut. You follow your intuition. You understand? You cook based on how you feel. You cook based on your state of mind. But when a cook in Sheraton cooks, he doesn't follow his emotions. It's not, you understand, intuition. It's not his gut feel. He follows a process. He follows a cookbook. He follows a standard. And it means if he's able to cook, you understand, as a professional, is able to replicate the same results. And that is what we call standardization. It means you are able to produce the same outcome irrespective of your gender or location. That is professionalism. So in managing the way you deliver a service right now, there must be professionalism in the way you manage your service. You cannot manage your service based on how you feel, based on whether you are led by the Spirit, based on your intuition, based on what you think, based on what you assume. There must be a set standard in the way you are managing your service. And the recognizable, internationally approved standard of the way service is being managed is the IT service management, which talks about an infrastructural library. So ITIL simply means information technology infrastructural library. So there's an infrastructure, which is a standard globally recognized in the way you manage a service professionally, not just based on what you feel or believe or what some manager has said you should do, or not based on what you think is works, but based on what is acceptable globally, so that you can match with the international community and match with other companies who are competing with you on an international level. So service management is actually a set of organizational capabilities providing value to customers in the form of a service. Now, when we have service management, you understand, when we have service management, in order to actually make sure the services are, because this is the focus of service management, the idea is to be able to make sure that the service are what we need. So it means you are not just delivering a service, you must be delivering a service based on what is needed. For example, there are organizations that are delivering services that are not needed right now. And you ask yourself, why are we delivering this kind of service and we are not getting the kind of response we are getting? The question is, you are not delivering what people want. So it must be what we need. You understand? And that's where the issues of service level management comes in, and what is called capacity management. We're going to learn what these two things mean. There's also what we call available when we need it. So in terms of service management, we have service management in order to make sure that services are what we need, available when we actually need it, because you might need to deliver a service, but it might not be available. You understand? There's what we call availability management and incident management, so that there are things that disrupt your delivery of that service, that affects the delivery of that service and hampers and affects the continuity of that service. There's also provisioned cost effectively. You understand? Provisioned cost effectively. So it means whatever service you must deliver, it will involve cost. So there's the aspect to consider, which is the financial aspect. There's also the service level management, which also talks about the service you are delivering. The level of delivery of this service varies from one level to the next. You understand? Because, for example, you look at an organization like MTN, they are delivering services at different levels to different categories of customers. There are customers that are particular about data. So in their service level management, they are actually dealing with some kinds of customers. So there's a package which we'll learn. There's what we call the service level, you understand, package. So it means you have packaged your services on different packages to attend to different, you understand, levels of customers based on their level of need. So there are customers, for example, in MTN that would desire data. There are some that are heavy callers. It means what they do is they spend more time in voice calls. Some spend more time, you understand, in video conferencing, you understand. So you must understand which level this customer is at, and in order to package the product that will meet the customer at usual level, and which is very, very key. Now, so when we talk about service, what is a service in a nutshell? Because you might be wondering, are we actually delivering a service right now? You understand? So one of the things that you must understand about service is that if it requires not just a learned set of skills, but also a way of thinking that often challenges the traditional instincts of workers to focus on the individual components that make up the infrastructure. Now, these are big words, but I'm going to break it down for us to understand. Now, the mindset here requires instead an alternative outlook to be maintained, incorporating the end-to-end service perspective for which the organization actually provides to its customers. So in talking about a service, in managing the service, there's an end-to-end observation, meaning you must be able to look at everything that is being done from end to end, from the point at which a client picks up your business card. That means there's a communication starting from the way you deliver your service, from the point of even advertising to a customer. So from every element that you are using to advertise, you are looking at the service you are delivering from end to end, from the point at which there's the first contact with the customer, from the point where the customer sees your name, your brand logo, sees your advert in the newspapers, online, picks up a flyer, a business card, your banner, your billboard, anywhere. that is the first point of contact. You must be able to start from that point to look at service from that beginning point to when the customer has been attended to and the customer is okay and satisfied, and he's now beginning to market your organization. So it's an end-to-end review. Good. Now, the official definition of a service really is a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customers want to achieve without the ownership of specific costs or risks. Now, I'm going to explain what this means, because this is a very essential understanding you must have as an organization that is a service provider. You understand? Now, your organization is offering a service. You are seen more as a service provider. So it is particularly important that you understand what a service is, so that you know and understand whether are we really delivering the service or not at this point. You need to understand that. So the official definition of a service is a means of delivering value. So whatever you are delivering, you must be conscious that is it value we are delivering to the customer, because the customer is the one that determines what value is, not you. The customer is the one that determines what value is. A customer might determine that what I value is time, not the product. Now, you might be thinking, oh, the product is perfect, it's excellent. You understand? And your focus is this is what is valuable to the customer. No. The customer's consciousness of value might be the time it takes you to deliver that product to him or her. So what that customer might determine as value is not the excellence of the product, but the time it took for you to deliver that product to him or her. What a customer might even determine as value might be the time it takes to resolve a problem or an issue the customer might have, particularly if there's a downtime. You understand? And how long it took you to resolve the issue when there was a downtime, because for him, time is more valuable to him. So you must understand, what does this customer define as value? It's very key. Now, so the official definition of a service is a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customers want to achieve without the ownership of specific costs or risks. Now, look at that word, underline it, ownership of specific costs or risk. Why a customer is coming to you is because they don't want to bear the ownership of the cost of undergoing the process of obtaining that thing, or the risk involved in actually producing that thing. So what does it actually mean then? The following analogy will help you understand this much clearly. You understand? Now let's look at an example. Let's look at an analogy that you can relate with to further buttress this point and to further expatiate and explain what service management and a service really is about. Now, the key concept, you understand, that I want to explain in a way is with food. For some of us who are food lovers, you'll be able to connect with what I'm about to say. Now, somebody orders for food, you understand, like a food order. What does this entail? Let's look at delivering a food, you understand, food service. While most people do enjoy cooking, I don't know about you, some people enjoy cooking, you understand, but some don't. Now, there are often times when they actually wish, because even if they do enjoy cooking, there are times they feel they just want to lay back and for someone to do all the work and just to deliver the food to them. So there are often times when they wish, these people who might love cooking and some who don't, there are often times they might enjoy quality food without the time and the effort required to prepare that particular meal. Now, if they were to cook it themselves, you know, they would need to actually go to the market or the grocery stores, you understand, to go through the stress of going to the market. Some, particularly if you stay in the outskirts of town, I've seen some people who move from location to location. Some from Lekki, they are going all the way to Mile 12 in order to buy groceries, in order to buy foodstuffs, you understand? Look at the stress involved in actualizing that, you know. Then they buy the ingredients. They take the ingredients home eventually, and then they engage in the kitchen to prepare and cook the meal. Then they also go through the stress and effort to set the table, to prepare, the dishes, wash them, and of course, clean up the kitchen afterwards, after they've cooked. That's a whole lot of stress. Now, the alternative is that they actually want to go to a restaurant. That's those that just want, they don't want to go through that stress of going to the market, pricing things, being in the midst of debt, you understand, and then having to get to the kitchen and then cook, being inside the heat and all. They don't want to go through all that stress. They just want to walk into a restaurant that delivers a service that provides them with the same outcome, you understand, which is a nice meal. Because what really this person needs is a nice meal. That's all, you understand. But if there's a way you can be able to boycott, trust me, I'm telling you what I know. If there's a way you can boycott all the stress of going to the market, being in the kitchen, being in the heat, you understand, having to also, sweat and go through the stress of peeling onions and shedding tears, and then, being inside the smoke and all, and cooking and doing all. If you can go boycott all of that and just go straight to having the food and eating it, I'm telling you, you will love that. And that is what is service. So a restaurant is offering to deliver that, which is what? The outcome. What is the outcome in this case? A cooked meal that is steaming hot, you understand, and a chilled bottle of Coca-Cola or cool drink, you understand, or cool water, as the case may be, without the time, effort, and general force required that will involve them in cooking it. You understand? So in this case, now consider how that person will actually identify the quality and the value of that service being provided. Now, look at it. It is not just the quality of the food itself that will influence their perception about that particular restaurant. So it's, because the perception that some people have is that as long as we cook a lovely meal in this restaurant, you understand, I'm telling you, customers will flood into this place. And that is the wrong perception that people have. Their focus is on the product. Do you understand? Which is a mistake that a lot of organizations make. Their focus is on the excellency of the product that they are delivering. Do you understand? Which is on that particular product itself. But look at in this case of this service. Now, the perception of the customer goes beyond the food and how it tastes and how excellent and how lovely it tastes. But they are looking at the cleanliness of the restaurant itself when they walk in. How clean is the place? Do you know this is part of what is to be considered by the customer when he's looking at your capacity to deliver a service? When you're talking about service delivery, you understand, as a service provider, he's looking at not just the meal, he's also looking at the cleanliness of where he or she's going to eat. That's why some people would rather go to a restaurant than to a mama put, you understand, where there are flies and all sorts of, where there's beside the gutter. Trust me, you will not take your girlfriend to a mama, even if you eat in a mama put, you won't take a lady you are dating to a mama put. You want to take her to a restaurant. Why? Because your mentality has changed as regards service delivery. Do you understand? So you are looking at cleanliness in this regard. You are looking at the friendliness of the environment and customer service skills of the waiters and even other staffs. Do you understand? You are looking at when you are coming into the restaurant, how you are welcomed. And that's why you go to a KFC. You understand? You go to a Sweet Sensation, you see someone at the entrance into the place welcoming you with a warm smile. You understand? That goes a long way in terms of delivering a service. Do you understand? Do you know that there are even churches today that have what is called ushers who welcome people because they are looking at the word they are coming to listen to in the church is not the only focus. There are other aspects of that service that goes beyond just the listening of a lovely message, which is the word that the preacher is preaching. They are looking at every aspect of the delivery of that service. So you have ushers, people who welcome you with a warm smile. So friendliness of the environment is also important as what you must also consider in the delivery of that service. You understand? You're looking at the customer service skills. of the waiters, of the other staff members, when you understand, you are actually asking them questions. You are placing an order. You are asking, please, where's your restroom? You understand? You're asking, where's your restaurant, your restroom? Somebody say, are you blind? Can't you see the signboard? Now, that alone communicates something entirely different. Even though the meal might be perfect, you are looking at the way you are being attended to. The ambience of the environment, the restaurant itself, the lighting of the place, the music in the background, the decorations. Do you know that all this is adding to the way you deliver the service, the perception of the customer? Do you understand? You are looking at the time taken to receive the meal itself. You understand? You are looking at how long that's what we call cycle time. So in delivering a service, there's what we call the cycle time. The cycle time talks about how long it takes to deliver that service. Many of us must have understood that there are organizations that have improved in the way they deliver service. Imagine some of us many years ago that wrote JAM. You understand? You probably connect with me. For some of us who are much older here, many years when we used to write JAM those days. It took a long time before you could get, your center where you actually are meant to write the JAM. You understand? You have to go physically to even write the JAM. Then before you get your result, it takes a it takes a long time. You understand? Then you notice that also before you will get your result, it also takes a long time. But the service, that organization called JAM has improved in their service delivery. They managed that service so well that right now you can write JAM from the comfort. You can write JAM in a Prometric center. It means you can write JAM online. You understand? You can also be able to get your center and check it online without having to go to a location. You understand? You can also check your results online. These things have been made so easy. It means there's been an improvement in the way they deliver the service. So they are looking at the time it takes to deliver the service. Why is that important? Because there's what we call the velocity of money. Do you understand? The velocity of money talks about the longer it takes to deliver a service, the longer it takes for that organization to make money. That's the truth. Now, ask yourself, how long does it take to obtain a driver's license? How long does it take to register a company? How long did it take you to be able to get your BVN? How long does it take, you understand, to be able to get, you understand, your NIN? Look at all of this. So there are services that you have organizations render to you. You are paying for those services, but look at the stress, the effort, the energy you go through, the time it takes in order to obtain that service outcome, even though you are paying. So it means if, for example, an organization is issuing out driver's license and it's taking them 3 months, you understand, to issue a driver's license, and if you are paid 12,000 for a driver's license, it means it took that organization 3 months to make 12,000 from only you. So it means the longer it takes for them to complete that cycle time for that transaction, it means the longer that organization is taking to make money. Do you understand? And that's why it is important that the concentration of cycle time is such that it must be made shorter. It must be made shorter. You must reduce the time it takes to resolve a client's issue. You must reduce the time it takes to be able to attend to a customer and deliver that service. Do you understand? From the point of order, from when the request has been made for that service. If you take a longer time to attend to that customer, it means you are making that organization take a longer time to make money from that customer. Now, another aspect of service that you must look at is the choice of beverage, for example, in the restaurant. So sometimes, even when the customer, that's why we're going to also look at what is called product catalog. You understand? What we call service catalog. So service catalog talks about you must help the customer know all the products you offer and the services you render. Now, a customer might come for only one service, but might not be aware you deliver all that services. You understand? So it's important that you also show the customer there are other options. For example, someone who comes to buy milk, you understand, in a retail store, it's important the storekeeper or the store owner tells the person who's coming to buy milk that, oh, sorry, we have Bonvita as well. Have you considered buying sugar? You understand? So it means there are additional things that go along with this service that you're rendering. You must be able to create those options and push it to the client for the client to know that there are other services you render beyond the service in particular that you have come, you understand, that this client has come to request for. And that's why it's important that there's a balance, that you must have a product and a service. That is the balance. You can't deliver a service without a product. You can't have a product and not have a service. You can't have a service and not have a product. For example, if you are a car wash company, you should sell what is called car wash liquid soap alongside. You should have a product. You understand? You should sell car wash brush. You should sell. So it means if you deliver a service, you must also have a product you are also selling along with that service. Because in having to also deliver a service, you must understand that you must have options that helps you to generate revenue from other aspects. Good. Now, if any one of these factors that we've just looked at, when it comes to the service delivery of food, if any one of these factors does not meet the person's expectation, then ultimately the perceived quality and value delivered to them as a customer is negatively impacted. Do you understand? It's negatively impacted. Now, relate this to a staff member's role in your own organization in providing a service. If they only focus on the application elements of the service you are delivering, you're only focusing on the applications, the softwares, you understand? That's what you're focusing on. The programmers, the coders are trying to work on the efficacy, the excellence of the applications, the softwares. If that's all your focus is, then you have missed it. You understand? So if they focus only on these application elements provided and they forget or even ignore the importance of the surrounding elements, which we've just looked at, that make up the end-to-end service. Because this service management requires you to look at service from end to end. Just like the example of the restaurant we just said, the customer experience and perceived quality and value will be negatively impacted. Now, but if they actually take a service-oriented perspective rather, they also ensure that, number one, communication, that they communicate with customers and end users in an effective manner. You understand? They also ensure appropriate resolution times. And that's why organizations design what is called service level agreements. You understand? So it means at what time is the customer meant to call you to be able to resolve an issue if they do have an issue. You understand? What are the steps in troubleshooting if they do have certain issues whereby they are able to troubleshoot and resolve issues on their own? Not that every slight issue they call you. You understand? Oh, I'm having an issue. I'm having it. So there should be a service level agreement that at what point should the customer be reaching back to you after you have delivered the service to the customer? You should be reaching back to you if the customer has an issue. Now, what is an agreement that has been stated that, oh, it is premised on, is based on this, that if within 24 hours we don't resolve the issue, then you can take this action. You can, that agreement must be drawn so that in the delivery of your service, you can be able to justify yourself when it comes to how long and how well you are able to resolve a customer's complaint. And that's where we talk about incident management. And I will talk about that maybe much later. So appropriate resolution issues are maintained for end user and customer inquiries. Now, there's also transparency and visibility of the organization and where money is being spent, and you understand, and it's being maintained. So, for example, every of the important staff members must understand that we are expending resources as a business unit. And this is very important. As a business unit, because you must understand that there are two aspects of the business customers. So there are internal customers, there are external customers. So HR is a business unit that is serving other business units that are internal customers to the HR department. Procurement department has other business units that are customers to them. So procurement department, for example, if the IT department, they're having issues with the computers and laptops they are using, and they need to procure or purchase a better one, it means procurement department, this IT department are their customers. Do you understand? So if procurement understands that we have a budget we are working with, and our budget, because procurement is seen more as a cost center, sales is seen more as the department or unit that brings in money. But there are departments that are cost centers, meaning they expend the money being brought in by departments like sales. So the only way they can be able to justify the existence of their department is if they are able to bring about what is called cost savings. It means you are able to reduce the amount expended. So normally, if you are meant to expend for your budget, you are meant to expend 20 million. You are able to, within this year, as an achievement, you are able to cut that into half. That our achievement is that we were able to bring about a cost savings of 10 million as against our original budget of 20 million. It means we only expended 10 million as against our original budget of 20 million. It means we brought a cost savings of 10 million naira. That is an achievement and a KPI that a procurement department will probably be appreciated based on. So there must be transparency showing what is going on and how expenditures are happening so that people can appreciate everything that is done has monetary value attached to it. Now, the organization works proactively to also identify potential problems that should be rectified or improvement actions that could also be made. Now, using these principles, every phone call to the service desk, because you must also have a point in which you actually are able to resolve issues. So when we call something a service desk, what does that mean? It means you must have a designated table, you understand? Someone who you can hold accountable if any of the services goes wrong. And that's why you have someone who is the point person from the external customers, who the external customers are able to interface with when it comes to this service. So there's a service desk, you understand? So using these principles, every phone call to this service desk or email that is email request for a password, for example, a password reset, presents an opportunity to demonstrate for your organization service excellence and a commitment to all the customers. Do you know that you can even win more customers if they see the excellence in your service delivery? So you might even have other organizations that have better products than you. That's the truth. I'm telling you. But what might get a customer to be loyal to you is this excellence in your service delivery. Trust me, you might have your competitions out there that their products might be far better than yours. You understand? In terms of the excellence of the product. But one thing they might not beat you in is the excellence in your service delivery. How fast you're able to resolve customer complaints. How fast you're able to attend to customers' requests. How quickly you are able to ensure that they are well attended to. These are issues that a customer might take and say, I value this more. And that brings about customer loyalty. Do you understand? So to ensure that a service is actually managed with a business focus, the definition of a single point of accountability is absolutely essential to provide the level of attention and focus required for its delivery. So this brings us to understanding that if that is the case, that there are people you need to hold accountable and responsible for delivering certain aspects of your service, then you must understand the various service types and the people who are responsible and accountable for the various services you are delivering. Now, there are different service types as a service provider. There are internal services and there are external services. Please take note of this too. Now, the internal service talks about delivering a service within an organization to other business units. Like I gave the illustration of procurement, delivering a service to ensure that suppliers or vendors supply the appropriate equipment, materials, or person. You see, HR comes in when it comes to delivering because HR is also involved in procurement, but procurement from the aspect of ensuring that the appropriate resource, human resource, is procured for the organization to fit in certain places. Do you understand? So it is important to understand that internal services talks about each business unit serving another business unit. You understand? Or multiple business units. So there's internal services. So it's not just about serving external customers. You're also serving internal customers. So there's the internal services and there's the external services, which involves external services, involves delivering a service to customers outside the organization. Now, understand that this program, ITIL 4, is a program that is quite comprehensive and has different levels. So it has a foundation and it has intermediate, it has different levels. But today we are just looking at the introductory part for this entire program. Now, I want to encourage you that you also run the full program. It will give you a good grasp of this infrastructure that we're talking about, and it will help you understand in full and in details. You know, the few hours we have can't give us the opportunity to cover all that needed to be covered. We're only doing this session for 2 hours, which is just between 9 to 11. And we are only just covering the introductory part that can give you a foundational understanding, at least, and an insight into what this program entails and this standard and this infrastructure in order to deploy it appropriately in the standard way professionally within your various business units or the organization. But for me, I feel, given an opportunity, trust me, it's important you undergo the full program. So even at the end of this session, you can also get an appreciation certificate showing that, of course, you've completed this appreciation course. But importantly, it's important you go through the entire program. Now, there are also different types of customers, like I've said. There are 2 types of customers: internal customers and external customers. Now, internal customers talks about staff within an organization. External customers talks about people other than the organization you render service to. You understand? So trust me, if you want to engage in the full program, contact your HR, and I'm sure she'll get back to us and we'll be able to make an arrangement to train you fully on the full program so that you can have a good and complete and holistic understanding of what the information technology infrastructural library is about, popularly known as ITIL, which is how you actually deliver and manage a service. It's called IT service management. Now, so when we are talking about the various types of customers, we have internal customers as well as external customers. Internal customers are staff within an organization. External customers are people other than the organization you actually render the present service you're rendering to. Now, when we talk about service management, now look at the definition. We've understood and looked at the definition of what a service is. But let's look at the definition of what service management is. So service management is actually a set of organizational capabilities, because an organization might not have the required capabilities to provide the appropriate service to the customers. So service management is actually a set of organizational capabilities providing value to customers in the form of what? Of a service. Now, here are some of the challenges that do come with service management capabilities. Number one, service is always regarded to be intangible. You understand? That they are intangible in nature. Now, what does that mean? You cannot store a service, unlike products. So, for example, if there's a strike, and you have products can be stored, so you can keep it in the store. So even if there's a nationwide strike and everybody has to sit at home and they are not given the opportunity to buy that product, you can preserve your products, you understand, until when people are ready and they come out to buy them from your store, you understand, so you are not at a loss. But when it comes to service, you can't store it. That's the disadvantage. So those are the challenges that comes for service providers. You must understand, and you must look for a way to navigate around this challenge. How do you navigate around this challenge? One of the very important things you must understand is that organizations have peak periods and they have off-peak periods. Now, what you must understand is that the periods where you have peak periods are the periods where you make more money. So because you have peak periods, you must leverage on that opportunity to be able to deliver your service utmostly to all customers as expected. You understand? For example, during the dry season, Coca-Cola, for example, sells more than during the rainy season. Why? Because people become more thirsty during the dry season than in the rainy season. So the first thing they want to go for is a drink. You understand? So you see that that is their peak period. They make more money during that period. So you must understand that when is our peak period and when is our off-peak period. So during our peak period, we must be able to look at how to make more money and to be able to save a little, to be able to leverage on during our off-peak period. That's the way to manage this kind of challenge. Another challenge that comes with service management capability is the demand for capability is directly linked to the asset of the customer. Now, you need to understand this part. You need to understand this part. Now, the demand for the capability is directly linked to the asset of the customer. What does this mean? For example, now, an organization is offering, you understand, internet service, maybe bundle, you understand, like an MTN, for example. They are offering bundles, you understand, data bundles. Now, what limits them in the ability to offer that kind of service, you understand, is the asset in the hand of the customer. So if you have a customer that is using a phone that is not internet enabled, many of us will, you know, those phones that we call tonosobe, you know, those kind of phones that use touchlight, that are just, you know, buttons, Nokia button, you know, pressing phones that they're not internet enabled. It means those kind of customers, this level of service and this service package that MTN has cannot serve this level of customers. That becomes a challenge. Do you understand? So what will an MTN do, for example? They will simply decide to do a promo and give, you understand, free phones that are internet enabled to this kind of people who don't have this kind of phones that are internet enabled. Why? So that they can jack them up to have the required assets for them to deliver this particular service to them. Do you understand? So that is a way to address those kind of issues. Look at your business. Look at the kind of customers you are dealing with. There are services you are delivering, but the client doesn't have the assets to be able to benefit from this level of service that you want to offer. So the way to address that is to be able to look for a way to get these assets across to the client. Either you get the client to buy this asset instrumentally from you, or you have a way to ensure that this asset is made available to the client in order to enable you to deliver this type or this level of service. You understand? Now, the stakeholders of the service management comes from, you understand, in categorizing the various stakeholders of service management. You have a customer who is someone who buys a service. You have the user, you understand, is someone who buys a service. Is someone who uses a service, rather. You have a supplier, this person is a third party who is responsible for supplying the goods or services needed for delivering a service. You have a process that is a structured set of activities designed to accomplish a desired objective, which is talking about a process that takes in one or more inputs and delivers a desired output. You understand? Example of such is like an ATM cash withdrawal process. You understand? So a process is a structured set of activities designed to accomplish a desired objective. So each process has 4 characteristics you must be conscious of. You have what triggers the process. You have the activity involved in this process. You have the dependencies of the process. The process depends on certain things. And then you have the sequence, you understand, and others. Now, all of this must be measured, and it must have specific results. Because what you can't measure, listen, what you can't measure, you cannot improve on. If you can't measure it, you can't improve on it. If I cannot measure how long it takes to deliver a service, I can't improve on the service. That's why I must be able to capture right now how long it takes to resolve a customer complaint right now in your organization. For you to improve on the way you deliver a service right now, you must be able to measure how you are performing right now. So what should you begin on? You should be able to do what is called an assessment of your service delivery right now. You understand? It means you must be able to capture how you are delivering a service right now in order to be able to review and improve on the way you deliver your service. It means if you can't capture how you are delivering your service right now, to be able to measure whether the way you are delivering your service is better than the way your competition is delivering your service, you will know how to improve on what you are doing right now. Very important. It also has specific results, and it has a customer response to a specific event. Now, some service management technologies that you might come across when it comes to ITIL, you understand? One of the very important technologies called capabilities. You must have been hearing of the capability, and that's where the concept in the life cycle of service management. Remember, the life cycle of service management starts from service strategy to service design to service transition to service operation, then to continual service improvement. This is the life cycle. So the technology you might see, the first cycle, which is service strategy, is capabilities. Now, this talks about the ability of an organization, person, process, application, service, or even other configuration items to carry out an activity. And capabilities are intangible assets of an organization. So when we're talking about capabilities, let me talk about the capabilities you can relate with, for example. Now, let's assume your mom is coming to your organization right now. Is coming to Genesis, or is coming to Tennis, or is coming to any of the arms of the organization, and is coming to actually buy or make an inquiry as regards one of the services you deliver. You understand? And then, you happen to be on leave that particular day, so you are not in the office. Now, will your mom, or if it might be your dad, you understand, come in, and everything you said that your organization does, will your mom or dad come into your organization right now, and exactly what you said about your organization and what they offer and everything that she read or he read on the internet is what that person will actually meet, and the experience the person will have when he or she walks into your organization right now. Without you, listen, if you have to call your office and say, my mom is coming around, please, I will need you guys to attend to her, ensure that you attend to her specially and give her all that, all the attention she requires, and she's well attended to. Every inquiry she makes and whatever she wants to purchase, she's attended to accordingly. What you have shown by that interference in your service management is that your organization's service is not capable to deliver. It means you have shown that your organization is not capable to deliver on its brand promise based on its service. So you have interfered. That is what we mean by capabilities. When we talk about capabilities, it means without any form of external interference, it means that your organization is able to deliver on its brand promise as stated in any aspect of your business projection. So it means what you say you can do is what the client needs that you can do. That in the real sense shows that your organization is capable to deliver on its brand promise. That's what we mean by capability. Do you understand? So capabilities are intangible assets of an organization. It could talk about the issue of integrity. It could talk about honesty. These are intangible. You understand? You could talk about, speed. You could talk about fastness. You can talk about, you deliver better, you deliver faster, you deliver, you understand, easier, you deliver, these are intangible assets that are attributed to an organization's capability. Do you understand? Now, when we talk about certain aspects of service management as technologies, one other thing you must also look at is a function. A team, because when we say function, this is a team, department, or group, a number of people who have similarities with one another that can be used to perform one or more processes. So you have a function within an organization. Now, there are 4 functions within an organization. You have the service desk, you have the organization's management, you have the application management, and you have the technical management. These are the 4 very important functions within a business organization. Now, one of the things you must also understand, apart from a function, is a role. You understand? So you have various roles functioning within an organization. What is a role? It's an intersection of a process and a function. An example is like an incident manager. Do you understand? That is a role that functions in incident management. Do you understand? Good. Then you have other roles like a process owner, a service owner, a process manager, a process practitioner, a shared service provider. These are various other roles that you must have within your infrastructure if you are aligning with this standard. So if you don't have these roles right now, it means you are not actually, in the real sense, functioning according to this set standard called the Information Technology Infrastructural Library. Now, so in terms of the service life cycle, like I talked about, just like the way a human being has a life cycle from infancy to adolescence to teenage to adults to elderly, so also is your service life cycle, from service strategy to service design to service transition to service operation, and then to continually ensuring that the service improvement. Now, if you are not aligning with this infrastructure right now, that means you need to first start out and back down. That means you need to back down to starting from service strategy, following this structure. Then you can now flow with this cycle before you can talk of continually improving your service. Because if you start from improving service delivery right now, you are starting, okay, how do we improve the way Genesis or Genesis delivering their service now or managing their service now without having this infrastructure? Then it means you are not aligning with the globally recognized set standard in the way IT service is being managed. Do you understand? Good. So this first one is service strategy, the service strategy stage. Now, I'm going to give us opportunity to ask questions because this is an interactive session. And why I not asked us for questions earlier is because I felt I needed to cover everything. Then we will stop and then we'll give us opportunity to ask questions. Good. So let's just follow through and listen and pen down your questions so that when you now have, questions, you will now be given the opportunity to ask your questions and I'll be able to attend to them. But for the meantime, let's listen and follow through. And then once we get to that question and answer section, you can ask your questions. So what is a strategy? Yeah, we talk about strategy sessions, annual strategy sessions, and things like that. What is a strategy? It's a complex set of planning activities in which an organization seeks to move from one situation to another in response to a number of internal and external variables. Now, the beginning point is your service strategy stage. That's the first stage, you understand, which you must determine the needs, the priorities, the demands, and the relative importance for the desired services. And you must also identify the value being created through service and the predicted financial resources required to design, to deliver, and to even support this service that you want to deliver. Now, this stage actually builds the context of IT service, why it exists, and what it is actually delivering. Because you must answer three very important questions. You must answer the question of why are we delivering this service? You understand? When are we delivering? What are we delivering? You understand? And when are we delivering it? Remember, these three questions must be answered in your service management. Why are we delivering this service? Can you answer these questions right now? In Genesis or in tennis? Why are we delivering this service? You understand? What are we delivering right now? Do you really know what you're delivering? You understand? The categories of what you're delivering. And then when you are expected to deliver it. Because you are not meant to deliver all services at the same time. You understand? There are times you are meant to deliver a particular service, and there are times you are not meant to deliver it. Do you understand? You must understand that. So the purpose of the service itself, this service strategy stage of your service lifecycle, is to define the perspective, the positions, the plans, and the patterns that a service provider needs to be able to execute to meet an organization's business outcomes. Now, this actually helps you think of the why, which we just asked, you understand, before you now start thinking of how to go about it so as not to waste resources at the end of the day. Now, in defining a strategy, a defined strategy consists of these four arms: the perspective, the position, the plans, and the patterns. These are what we call the 4 P's of a strategy. Now, how do we create a proper service value? 2 very important things must come together. The first one is what we call service utility, and the second one is what we call service warranty. You understand? When we talk about that, you guarantee that this particular service you are delivering, if it has issues, people market warranties, you understand, as an added advantage that could get the customer to patronize you. So, but there are 2 aspects that end up delivering service value, which must be complete. There must be service utility and there must be service warranty. Let's start with the first one. What is service utility? Service utility actually describes what a service does and its positive effects on the business processes, activities, objectives, as well as the tasks. Now, this could actually be the removal of constraints that improves performance or some other positive effect that improves the outcomes managed and focused on by the customer and the business. So generally, what this simply means in summary, it talks about being fit for purpose. So service warranty focuses on the functional aspect of your service, because if you don't confirm that this service I want to deliver fits this person's purpose, you can have a customer come to your organization in Genesis or in Teles and say, this is what I want. You are required to be able to perceive and discern whether this is what this customer wants, because a customer might think this is what he or she wants, and it's your responsibility to be able to tell the person, no, this is not what you want. From what you've just analyzed to me, this is not what you want. This is what you want, but this that you've come to request from us is not what you want. Now, if you know that and you still have the customer buy this service from you or this product, and the customer gets to realize it on his or her own, the customer will be very cross with you and will be unhappy, and at the end of the day will feel cheated. You understand? So it's important that you are able to identify what a customer wants. It's important you're able to identify what a customer wants. Now, why is that important? So that you'll be able to know whether what he or she is requesting for will fit the purpose he or she wants it for. That's what we call service utility. So that at the end of the day, whatever service you are rendering is actually fit for the purpose it's being requested for. There's what we now call service warranty, which on the other hand describes how well these functions are delivered to the customer. Because one talks about utility, one talks about functionality. You understand? So this service warranty describes how well this functions well, you understand, functions to deliver. Because a customer might buy something for a particular purpose, but might not function. You understand? It might not function. Meaning, warranty is talking about functionality, that this thing must function as promised. If it does not function as promised, that is when they return it. So your service warranty is to tell the person that I can guarantee that this thing will function as promised. It describes the service attributes, such as the availability, the capability, the performance, security, and even the continual or continuity levels to be delivered by the provider. So there's important to understand that functionality also takes into consideration business continuity. What do you mean by business continuity? That means there will be no interruption in the functionality of that service. That means there's no disruption. That's why there are organizations that produce products that even when they take light, the product can still be working, meaning there's no interruption in the functionality of that service. You understand? That's why there are companies that are producing, television sets right now, that even when NEPA takes light, the TV can still be on for an amount of time whereby you can finish watching the program you're actually watching before the TV eventually goes off. It talks about, you understand, big continuation. Now, the same also you notice in banks. Some banks, in terms of business continuity, in terms of delivering the function of the service, they might put most of their computers on what we call inverters or on solar panels, you understand, whereby on backup batteries, as the case may be, so that even if there's power outage, it does not interrupt in the delivery of the primary service, and which is very important that we understand. There's what we call the core service. There's what we call the enabling service, and there's what we call the enhancing service. So if you're writing, this is a good time to write. There are three aspects that you must be very conscious of. And I'm going to explain this a little closer as we go on. There's what we call the core service that you're delivering. There's what we call the enabling service, the service that enables you to deliver on your core service. And there's what we call the enhancing service. Take note of these three. Now, what are the attributes when it comes to delivering value to a customer? The degree in which the service meets the customer's needs is an attribute of value. If you say we deliver value, then we must be conscious of the degree in which the service meets the customer's needs. Number two, when you say you deliver value, value can be changed with time and circumstances. It's usually an affordable collection of features. It must also help the customer meet his or her goals and objectives. And very, very importantly, value is often subjective, not perceived. You understand? Value is often subjective. What does that mean? It means what you define as value might not be what the customer might define as value. You understand? The customer might define value to be, like I said earlier, might be the issue of time. The time it took to attend to him or her. You might feel value is the value of the product offered. And then, of course, it is always perceived. Value is perceived. You understand? Meaning you can perceive what value is. And that's why you must categorize your customers. Put them in various categories. And putting them in various categories brings us to what is called the service packages and service level packages. You understand? As we wrap up this section, there's what we call service packages and service level packages. Understand this. Service customers have high utility requirements. Some have high warranty requirements, and some require high levels of both. And that's why you must categorize your customers. You understand? To accommodate these various demands, because their consumption needs vary one from the other. You understand? Service providers can seek to satisfy one or more of these types of customers by packaging different levels of service utility and service warranty and pricing these packages accordingly. That's why you notice there was a company called Omo that, where they were struggling in having to make sales at some point. You understand? Because they had low income earners that as the economy began to grow worse, they could not afford to buy the complete Omo packs. You understand? Those Omo packs that, were existing those days. So, those low income earners, you understand, were going for some small petty traders who were buying the packs of Omo and they would tie it in a small nylon and they would sell it at 5 naira. You understand? So there's those women, market women who were petty traders, started selling more money, making more money by selling all those tied Omo in nylons. You understand? And of course, the low income earners that could not afford to buy the large Omo because probably they needed to just wash a few clothes and they just needed something that they could buy immediately and address that need. So these petty traders were making more money and they were selling very fast. And a company came into this country and observed this service level package and introduced what is called clean in sachets. How many of us remember the Ariel and cleans? You understand? They introduced it in sachets, smaller sachets, You understand? So these low-income earners, instead of buying the ones in tied nylon, started going for such because number one, they were affordable, they were better packaged. You understand? And they were easier to, you understand, access and use because their supply chain reached everywhere. So it made it such that the service level package was considerable because these guys had different ones for different cadres of people, for low income earners, for medium income earners, and for large income earners. Same also with what some organizations began to do over the years. So you have to make provision for that. That's the same challenge a company like Star Times, you understand, when they came into this country, they also did. Star Times came in and they were attending to low income earners. And then DSTV started losing out. And they were feeling that if they had dropped the price of their product, they will be able to win the hearts of these low income earners to buy from them. And of course, that affected their supply chain because they could not serve, they didn't have enough product to serve the rushing demand. So eventually, in order to be able to match up with this organization called StarTime, they introduced a product like theirs of a higher standard called GoTV, you understand? And they learned from that mistake. And the next time another competition came out called Netflix, instead of dropping their price of GoTV or DSTV decoders, they immediately went with the same kind of product called Showmax. Now, what they are trying to do is to serve different customers of different levels based on different service level packages or different service packages, you understand? So there are different service level packages you must be able to introduce. Now, these service level packages, which is where we are going to be rounding up this section today, is broken into three, like I said. You have the core service, you have the enabling service, and you have enhancing service. What does this mean? It means for an organization, you must identify what are your core services. These are services you don't outsource. These are your areas of strength. Do you understand? These are your areas of strength. This is the basic crucial service you offer. If this service is taken from you, you are out of business. Do you understand? This is your core service. So you need to ask yourself, what is our core service as an organization? You understand? Then you have your enabling service. The enabling service are the services that enable you deliver on your core service. An enabling service, you understand, can be outsourced because an enabling service is normally the area where you are weak in delivering that service. Do you understand? For example, enabling service for some organizations could be the security outfit. You are not a security company. You understand? You are an IT service delivery company. So you want to focus on IT, you understand, as an organization, depending on which part of the organization or arm of the organization you are running. So you must identify what your core is and the ones that enable you deliver on your core. For example, power, security, you understand, finance, or you understand, auditing, all these aspects can be outsourced. They enable you deliver on your core. They are not your concentration. So you consolidate on your strength, which is your core, and you outsource the areas where you have weaknesses in because they are not your core. They enable you deliver on your core so that your concentration can be on your core. If you move to try and do your core at the same time, you understand, you are trying to also do your enabling service, then you will have dissipated energy in different directions. So as an organization, your concentration should be on your core. Do you understand? While you outsource your enabling service to companies that area of weakness where you are exposed in and is their own area of strength. Do you understand? Then you now have what is called an enhancing service. What's an enhancing service? An enhancing service is a service you render to attract people to your core service. You understand? Where you offer some additional benefits. For example, a company selling toothpaste like Close-Up, you understand, a toothbrush inside, and they add that as an enhancing service. Because instead of having to buy toothpaste and you're not going to look for toothbrush, because they go together, you probably will use them together. So they use that as an enhancing service to attract you to the core. So their core is to provide you toothpaste. to enable you wash, to have, you understand, wash, clean mouth. But they know you will require a toothbrush to do so. So they put that in addition with their core to enhance the delivery of that service. You understand? So we call it enhancing service. So a service package actually provides a detailed description of bundled services available to be delivered to customers. And this package consists of one or more services used in combination to create value for the customer. Now, the content of a service package include what you see here: the core service, the enabling service, as well as the enhancing service, which I've just explained. So finally, we have what is called the service assets. Remember, this is just the appreciation course to help you appreciate the importance of this structure called the ITIL, which is Information Technology Infrastructural Library. This framework, this standard, this infrastructure that can help you follow a life cycle in service management that can ensure that you are able to deliver value at the end of the day to your customer, so that at the end of the day, you can be able to increase in customer base, increase in revenue generation, increase, you understand, in capability to deliver as an organization to your customers. So in closing, we're going to wrap up here. Then will give us the opportunity to ask questions. Now, service assets, like I talked about, defining the service and its appropriate utility and warranty will not deliver the service to the customer. So to do this, the service assets are normally used. And the service asset is any source or capability used in the provision of service. They are used to actually create value in the form of goods or services for customers. And of course, we have a table that actually shows this, like you can see. So in wrapping up this section, we have the three service strategy processes: financial management, that's the first one; business relationship management; and service portfolio management. Now, when we come in for the full course, I will expatiate on this and explain this much, you understand, better, so that we can be able to understand this much easily and be able to follow me through on all that we are actually looking at here. Okay, in wrapping up this section, I'm just going to say this before we go. Okay. Before we go, I'm going to say this. An important part of actually determining the opportunities for improvement is the measurement of your current performance. So every business unit, every department, every unit head that are listening to this session today, you must be able to sit down to capture your current performance right now and to be able to come up with an improvement plan at the end of this session, which I would love for you to submit to me so that I can be able to advise you accordingly as regards how to go about better improving in the way you are managing your service delivery right now. So you must capture and do what is called a SWOT analysis to be able to find out what are your areas of strength, what are your areas of weaknesses, what are your areas that you can leverage and gain opportunity in, where you have opportunities to actually do better, and areas where you have threats in. So I want you to capture your current performance, do a SWOT analysis, and we're going to together do a gap analysis to be able to find out where you are and where you are supposed to be in accordance with this set standard and this infrastructure, so that at the end of the day, you can come up with an improvement plan. So I'm going to help you through this journey, and I will require you to submit to me a gap analysis, a SWOT analysis, capturing the current performance of your organization. So I want you to submit it to me at ernest@oakinterlink.com. So I'm asking everyone here in your various business units, in your various teams, departments, you understand, I want you to come up with a SWOT analysis capturing the current performance of your unit, department right now as it relates to what we've just looked at today. Then together, we're going to look at an improvement plan, a service improvement plan. You understand? To be able to deliver better than what you are doing right now. So I wanted to submit this to me at Ernest at oakinterlink.com. Ernest at oakinterlink.com. Or you could chat me on WhatsApp. This is my WhatsApp number. 090-910-200. With the permission of the HR, if that's okay by the HR, I think this is supposed to be for everybody. If I'm mistaken. Sorry. Okay. So I hope we can see this. I'll put it in the chat room. So you can go to the chat room and you can fish out the email address. So I want you to come up as an assignment, come up with a SWOT analysis, which is capturing the current performance in your unit, in your department, in the way you are actually managing your service right now and the way you are delivering your service right now. And then you could send this to me via mail and chat me via WhatsApp. And I'll be able to attend to you, and we'll together come up with an improvement plan for your unit and department. Okay. So in conclusion, consider this following sayings about measurements and management. You cannot manage what you cannot control. That's the truth. And you cannot control what you cannot measure. And you cannot measure what you cannot define. Thank you very much for attending this session. I do appreciate everyone for staying true to the very end. We're done. Congratulations, you successfully completed this appreciation course. And in case you have any questions, this is a good time to be able to ask your questions.